Source. Hopefully
We're
we're still
on.
connected to the multi-world.
We're
We're on?
live. We're live. We're
Yep,
live.
I think so.
All right. Hello everyone, and welcome to a Link to the Past Multiworld Randomizer. I am Voltalion. I am joined by Brackar
Hello.
and Source Otter.
Hello.
So, what we are doing today is a randomizer. Randomizers are different from regular speedruns of this game in that the way that they work, the core concept of the idea is that the item locations in each game are all completely jumbled up. You can find an important item on the very first chest in the game or at the very end. The randomizer does this in such a way that the game is still able to logically be completed without the use of glitches. That being said, we'll use glitches anyway. And from there, we generate a seed. The seed is one specific instance of the randomizer. None of us know what the seed specifically contains. And part of the goal and part of the strategy is trying to figure out how to complete the game as fast as possible. Bracker and Source, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so specifically in this, we're doing what's called a multi-world seed, which is kind of a new idea. Basically, it's not only that my items are randomized in my game, my items could actually be in Source's game, and Source's items could be in my game. So we're actually cooperatively solving effectively this puzzle of a randomized game of Link to the Past together.
Two Zeldas at once.
Two Zeldas at once. We should probably get started. Apologize for the delay. We had a whole host of technical issues, including internet outages and OVR crashes, but we're good to go. It's not a speedrun if there's not a little time pressure, right?
Yep.
That's
All right.
right.
You ready to begin?
You want
Let's
to
do it.
count us off?
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about A Link to the Past randomizer specifically. This is one of the first randomizers that was created. The goal for A Link to the Past randomizer is to collect 7 crystals, which is the price of admission to get into Ganon's Tower, climb Ganon's Tower, defeat Aghanim, and then proceed onward to defeat Ganon. There are 10 major dungeons in this game, not including Ganon's Tower and Aghanim's Tower. Of those 10 major dungeons, 3 of them are in the light world that would ordinarily contain pendants, and 7
wow.
of them are in the dark world that would ordinarily contain crystals. The randomizer here, however, does it such that the prize that you get at the end of each dungeon is randomized, so it could be one of the 3 pendants or one of the 7 crystals. The pendants themselves are generally not that useful, leading only to some specific item locations, whereas the crystals are necessary to beat the game. So oftentimes part of the strategy of this game is figuring out when you actually need to do pendant dungeons to grab items versus trying to avoid them altogether because they don't lead to actual progression.
Yeah,
so
oh,
go ahead.
Whoop. So starting out, basically, our main quest right now is just to get as many progression items as we can. I'm fortunate in that Source has already sent me some bombs, and I've sent him bombs, which tend to be like an early thing that we get locked out by.
I also got a first item Moon Pearl, so
What?
we're on our
Send
way.
Send the Moon Pearl over here. I want that Moon Pearl.
And a sword. And my
What?
triple is red rupees.
So the other
off
consistent
to
thing
a
that
great
keeps
starter.
happening with us is that Source always finds the items and steals them for himself, and
That's
I
true.
am I am stuck swordless for long
I have to put in all the work over here. Yeah. Alright, my Aguilar is a heart.
Mine too.
Yeah. So these overworld locations, they're more or less doing in the same order. These are available at the beginning of the game. At the beginning of the game, as previously mentioned, it's extremely important to have bombs because bombs are needed for 3 additional chests in Kakariko, plus 5 additional chests in Mini Moldorm Cave, 1 additional chest in Ice Rod Cave, all of which are available at the beginning of the game. So a lot of the routing that they're doing at the beginning is trying to find bombs as early as possible, possibly by pulling the tree, possibly by finding them underneath the Hoarder Crab, which is what Source had done, and failing all of that, then bombs are on sale for 50 rupees at Kakariko, which they could buy, but that's not necessary because each of them found a lot of bombs right away.
Yeah, in fact, we want to try and avoid buying those if we can, because we need a decent amount of money at the beginning of the game. I'm pretty fortunate that I just found 300 rupees there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need about 600 rupees for the early checks. There's a 100 rupee check at the bottle merchant in Kakariko Village, and a 500 rupee check from Zora, King Zora.
Mm-hmm. And yes, to confirm a question that was in the chat, the game decides whose items go where. It's not up to the players to like find something like the lamp or something like the powder and say, oh, I don't need this powder, Source, you have it.
Yeah, no, that is fair. I say that Source steals all my items. He really doesn't, but we all know he actually does. Stop! No, that's my sword.
Nope, it's my sword.
Damn it.
Here, you can have those arrows instead.
Oh, joy. An arrow
You're
without a bow.
welcome.
Great. Thank you.
Hey, bottle,
bottle's
time for
nice.
bottle check.
I'll take bottle.
So part of the thing that makes the randomizer experience so unique is that every seed is very unique, and it often requires a lot of game knowledge that you wouldn't really get to use otherwise. Sometimes the randomizer will give you like everything that you need right in the progression orders that you need it, in which case you can blitz through a seed in like typically an hour 30 minutes. Other times you'll be forced to other times you'll be forced to do stuff on like really low percentage of equipment, very few safeties, very few swords. And other times you'll find items in just these weird esoteric locations that can extremely test your game knowledge. So
one of the things that can also happen in Multiworlds is items can kind of show up at weird times. So I just sent Source an item while he had a bomb over his head, and the bomb blew up in his face.
Yep.
Which is one of my favorite
Sure
things
did.
about Multiworld games.
Hey. Brakkar's Revenge.
It's true. You get all the swords. I get to laugh a little bit.
Alright, let's look at the map here. So my map is Crystal, Red Crystal, and Desert Palace. So that means I'll have to do all 3 of the Light World dungeons in order to get into Gan's Tower.
which is good because that means you don't necessarily have to do 3 of the Dark World dungeons.
Yeah, the Light World dungeons tend to be shorter and therefore quicker. Also, the bosses in them are less annoying. Nice.
All 3 of them are regular crystals for Brackar. There are 2 crystals that are marked red in the randomizer that unlock an additional location, which has 2 items, and that's the only designation between the different crystals.
Ooh.
So
Early ice
Brackar
rod,
checked the
The most
library.
valuable item.
Brackar checked the library and found a sword.
But I just stare longingly at it because I need boots for that.
Oh no.
Okay.
I just found an early lantern.
No, it's your time, Source.
And
Can I
Brackar
explain
just
what
found an
that
early
may
cape.
mean, Volt?
Sure. So, one of the things that is sometimes an optional location, sometimes required, that usually people don't want to do is Aghanim Tower. The way in the vanilla game, the non-randomized game, that you would get to the Dark World is by climbing up, using the Master Sword to bust through a barrier, climbing up Aghanim's Tower, and defeating Aghanim, which is your normal way of accessing the Dark World. However, there are ways of accessing the Dark World outside of that, so the hope is that we'd find one of the combinations of items that would get us to the Dark World without having to go through Aga Tower. However, in this case, Source has found the lamp, a sword, and the magic cape. The magic cape can be used to duck underneath the barrier, and that's a randomizer-specific quirk.
I actually also have Master Sword, so I don't even need the cape, but...
That's true.
It just screaming Aghanim Tower at you right now.
It really is.
Yep. So he has all of the items needed for Aga Tower, and none needed for the vanilla configuration other than Moon Pearl.
Yeah, I may just go do it. Just like do frontside escape and then do Aghanim.
The other disadvantage to Aga Tower in the randomizer is that it doesn't actually have any items. There are 2 chests, both of which contain small keys that you need to progress further up the tower.
Yeah, it's just a sync of 6 or 7 minutes, depending on how quick you do it. We'll do.
So I fortunately did find a sword, but that also means that Aghanim might be in my cards as well. I don't have to worry about that till I find a lantern, but
yeah, because you can't do Aghanim's. The game will not make you do Aghanim's Tower unless you have a lantern, because it has a lot of dark rooms in it that you can't complete without being able to see them.
Yeah, and that's something that we can bring up. So the lantern which Source had found is used to light up rooms that are pitch dark. When you go into a dark room and have the lantern, there's a little cone of light around Link, which lets you see where you're going specifically. If, however, you do not have the lantern, then the entire screen, including all the enemies, including all the chests and walls and things, is just pitch black, and you can't see anything. But if you played this game enough to know where you're going and to have done those rooms in the dark enough, you can actually still progress through them without the lamp. Some of these are more difficult than others. The ones that are in Aga Tower, in my opinion, are the most difficult because you're just so infrequently do Aghanim's Tower in the dark that most people don't really take the time to learn them.
There are also lots of highly damaging enemies, so...
So I'm in a little bit of danger here, just because I'm at 2 hearts going to a place called Ice Rock Cave. These crabs on the screen deal 2 hearts of damage and move very randomly.
Alright, do you want to explain fake flippers here?
Sure. So we're getting to our first glitch. So what Source did there is jump into the water and then cross a screen transition. Ordinarily, in order to swim through the water, you would need an item called the flippers. However, by jumping into the water and then going over a screen transition, the game just assumes that the only reason you'd be able to do that is that you have the flippers anyway, so it just gives you the flippers. However, Source needs to be particularly careful because if he gets hit by an enemy and would lose health while in the fake flipper state, he would immediately die. Doesn't matter how many hearts he has, doesn't matter what mail upgrade he has, doesn't matter if he has a fairy or not, just immediate death.
Yeah, and there's an archer right on top of the bridge that has ended runs for me.
The Zora, one of the Zora almost got me. It was close. Alright, we're doing Aghanim. Let's go.
Ooh.
Oh, you're not doing
Aghanim before Sahasrara's Closet?
I only have 400 rupees. I was gonna do Zora, but I don't have enough rupees. I had the moon.
He's making the plays.
I'm making the play.
Kill that wizard.
I'm calling. Oops.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm gonna do frontside escape first. But yeah, so normally the other ways to get to Dark World are to have either the first gloves upgrade and the hammer, or 2 gloves upgrades, and I have 0 glove upgrades and 0 hammers, and so I'm fairly confident that I'm just gonna have to do Aghanim here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get it out of the way.
Yeah, that's
as
totally
mentioned,
fair.
there's a couple of other checks that I could do. One in Sahasrara's Closet, and then I can also do the part of the Eastern Palace dungeon. And that honestly might be the play, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
So Brackar has the first glove upgrade and has the bow, but not the lamp. In order to beat the first dungeon in the game, you would normally need the bow and the lamp to do it, which also brings up another general point about strategy in this game. Whereas in a regular Legend of Zelda game, you can count on whatever item that you need to be in the dungeon that you need it for. However, in the randomizer, that is very rarely the case, and in fact, if an item is in the dungeon that you need it for, it's often like a worst case scenario. It's generally preferable to have all of the items that you need to complete a dungeon before entering it even once to begin with. So sometimes you hear people in the randomizer community talk about diving dungeons. Diving dungeons means entering the dungeon without having all of the items that you need to complete it.
Yeah, and that can be valuable because, in some cases, because the item that you need is in the dungeon, but in some cases, there is an item that will open up some other dungeon in a dungeon that you can't complete because everything's so scrambled. Oof. Probably should have death, but that's okay.
There's an item in my Dark Crossroads, but I'm gonna leave that for now.
So another quirk about
the
randomizer.
You need the lamp.
Yes. Another quirk about the randomizer is that the dungeon items in this particular mode are constrained to the dungeon that they would normally belong in. So any maps, small keys, compasses, or big keys will be found in their vanilla dungeon. So we distinguish among the dungeon items versus random items. So Brackar is coming to Eastern Palace. Eastern Palace has 3 random items, which can be just about anything, in addition to 3 dungeon items, which are the map, the compass, and the big key to Eastern Palace.
So what I just did there was a death warp. Basically, it's intentionally taking a death, because taking a death inside of a dungeon will respawn you back at the start of that dungeon, and it's sort of faster than walking back to the start by yourself.
And so, as an example of randomized logic, I just found the silver arrows, which are, in the normal game, one of the last items you need to find. Which makes that a lot of my boss battles, at least the ones that are vulnerable to silver arrows, will go very easily for me.
I'm struggling. This room always gets me. Yeah, okay.
Ooh.
Marathons. It happens.
Yeah, this is what we call a second intentional, completely intentional death warp.
You're really good at those intentional death warps.
Totally purposeful, yeah.
Practice them a lot.
This has never happened before. Oh my gosh.
All right, so Brackar finding the 50 rupees in Eastern Palace is the first random item. 2 more random items to find.
Not again. Oh, there we go.
What were you gonna say, Source?
Okay. I'm struggling over here. The other reason that Aghanims isn't a thing you want to do is because there are a lot of enemies in it, and particularly early in the game like this when you don't have very many hearts. Oh god.
You might want to do. If you die again, you might want to try Closet.
Yeah, I may end up abandoning this plan. I don't really want to do, because I'm fairly certain I'm gonna have to do this sooner or later, but
yeah, I mean, 5 hearts green mail can be rough in there.
Yep.
You do have the magic cape, and in a pinch you can make use of the ice rod.
Yeah. I probably should have used the cape.
Good game knowledge there, knowing that heart was there.
Alright, let's see.
This is one of my favorite glitches. Boom, boom, boom.
So, in the room that Brackar just did, there are 4 skeletons that will normally spawn, and you have to defeat the skeletons before moving on. However, if you know where they're going to spawn, there's a glitch that you can do, which prevents them from spawning, and you just move onward.
Oh, I don't have the big key.
Okay, so we're about to get to Brackar's first dark room in the game. As you can see, it is very dark. Brackar is holding out the sword like that in order to light his own way. So in this room, there is a pot. There are actually several pots, as well as several Stalfos. You have to lift up a specific pot in order to grab a key, then make your way back to the previous room. And
There we go.
Brackar is through it. With only a little
But-
bit of health. I don't know if you want to do the glitch in this room.
and,
There is a pot.
I will
There is a pot with a
do-
heart that you can rely on, but that offsets where the enemy is.
oh, well, that's fine. I do this one anyway.
Okay, that's fair. Big key to Eastern.
Oh no, 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 no. Oh no. I almost got all the way to the top. Ugh. I had 2 rooms left.
You hate to see it.
I think you may bail, man. Like,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to bail. That's
especially
upsetting.
since you can do. Oh, I don't feel comfortable on this many hearts doing the next room.
Oh,
I'll get the fairies.
no game audio. Let me see what I can do about that.
I died while dropping into the pot. Oh well, I have a fairy.
Well,
That's humiliating.
you can just get another one.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's just a little humiliating.
So this is a hard game. This is one of the first things that I learned when I started running this game is that this game is fairly difficult and can be really punishing at times. And the randomizer can be even more so because you can get sort of fairly far through the game before you find the first armor upgrade or very many hearts, maximum hearts. And so like sometimes the logic requires you to beat bosses just with absolutely the slimmest of margins. Okay, well, I should have come here in the first place because I just found flute in Sastral's closet, which is a big deal.
This is fortunately a very tough room to do in the dark.
Okay.
There he is.
Sorry for the brief
This is gone.
lapse. Is there game audio now?
I still have a parry. This room's gone completely off the rails.
Yeah, this room in particular is difficult to deal with in the dark. There is a green Igor that would normally go down in one hit with the bow. However, there are a lot of other enemies, so it's difficult to pinpoint when exactly the green Igor is and when specifically they're vulnerable. And those Igors are very relentless in chasing you.
Got one of them. Come on, where's the other one? Fishing. There we go.
Alright, so I have the flute now, which is a big item because it allows you to teleport around the map. And crucially, that includes points that you have not previously visited or would be able to visit. So for example, you need the lantern to get up Death Mountain normally, but if you have the flute, you can just teleport there.
Alright, Brackar is coming to the first boss in the game, which is Armos Knights. With silver arrows, this will be an extremely trivial fight.
You say that and I immediately get hit.
Don't jinx him too much, yeah.
Wow, that was messy.
Still extremely trivial. Ordinarily, you wouldn't have the silver arrows for this fight, obviously. The silver arrows are actually like one of the last items that you obtain in the unrandomized game. And it's a good... They are able to defeat almost all enemies in the game in just a single hit, with the exception of the ones that aren't vulnerable to arrows to begin with, and Vitreous takes 2 and Ganon takes 4, but most enemies in one single hit.
So interestingly, I didn't get any progression items there. So that likely means either Desert Hobo or Zora has my progression item. Still a fine way to spend time because I was able to beat it,
Funny.
but
Alright, I think I'm fairly certain that I'm gonna have to do power. I have Tempered Sword now, or Agate Tower. I have Tempered Sword now, which should make it much easier, but I need to Just need to buckle down and focus on it. I could also buy a potion. That honestly might not be a bad idea, but I think I'm gonna do without.
Did we resolve the game audio vault?
Yes, we did.
Great. So that is not what Agina normally says. Oh, there you go, Source. You don't. Well, that's a handy find.
Oh, found my mirror. Okay.
Mirror actually doesn't
I
unlock
still
that
might
much.
need to do it.
Yeah, Mirror doesn't actually
Yeah.
unlock that much for
Because I
Source
can't get
right
into the Dark
now.
World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm going to do another glitch right now and go to the error room.
Hmm.
I'm doing this slowly, but I'm doing it to preserve my health. There we go.
Yeah, so that's totally fair. Do what you need to. So because it's not obvious, the mirror that Brackar just gave to Source is used to get from the Dark World to the Light World. This unlocks a couple of item locations where, like, the Dark World deviates from the Light World, and you can use it to go on top of, like, a cliff for Cave 45 and Bumper Cave. It is also used to get into Hera Tower, and it's necessary in order to enter Swamp Palace. So Mirror is a good find, but without access to Death Mountain, right now, it doesn't do for Source that much at the very beginning.
Yeah, and I did just leave Death Mountain right before I got the mirror, so that's a little unfortunate, but that's okay. I was gonna have to go back anyway, so yep.
I
So
believe the only in-logic check I have left is Zora.
Okay. And don't have the Moon Pearl, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And so by in logic here, oh no.
Yeah, do you want to explain what that means by in-logic?
Sure. So, as I was saying earlier, when a game is randomized, it does it in such a way that the game will always be completable without glitches. However, it is possible to use glitches to sequence break the game in order to ideally get items earlier than you would get them without sequence breaking. So when we talk about in logic versus out of logic, what in logic means is that accessible without using one of those glitches to get them early. So,
And in general, if you can stay in logic, you want to, because there is, you're sort of more likely, all of your progression items must be in logic at some point or another, and so generally those checks are preferable for that reason.
right. The other reason why you would do stuff out of logic is for sake of convenience. So, for example, Brackar is going over to the Zora area. Zora himself is in logic because you don't actually need the flippers in order to get that. However, Brackar is doing all this other stuff that does require the flippers for, and using fake flippers in order to do it. Fake flippers is a sequence break. Fake flippers is doing something out of logic, but by routing it in with the in logic check, it makes it more convenient. So you don't have to go back and do the other flipper stuff later.
Alright, I have successfully completed the climb here. So now I get to fight Aghanim. And this sort of brings in a Zelda classic, the tennis ball, the tennis match.
Mm-hmm. So, the Aghanim fight is basically free once you know how to do it. You have to defeat Aghanim by reflecting 6 balls at him. The first shot and every 5th shot after that will always be the ball that you can reflect back. The second through 4th shot has a 50-50 chance of being the ball that you can reflect back, and a blue ball, which you would not be able to reflect back. And then every 5th shot is lightning, which you should just avoid. You can also tell that Aghanim's about to shoot lightning because he's not turning to look at Source here.
I'll stand farther away so you can actually see the ball this time.
Oh, that was your mitt, not mine. Okay.
Yeah, it was my mitt.
All right, Source. My progression has to be in your game. I'm gonna go out of logic.
Yeah, I just did Aghanim, so I'll be able to do Hype Cave in the South Loop. Or actually, is that true? I guess it's not actually true because I don't have hammer.
Not easily if you don't have.
Yeah.
So there's Catfish, Shovel Spot, Death Mountain is open now. Catfish into Zora is not a bad play.
Yeah, Catfish and Azora is probably the play.
Did you activate the flute yet?
I have activated the flute, yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
So I guess
Yeah, the flute.
I guess Lightside Death Mountain was already in Logic.
I did. I already went up there and got Old Man, but I didn't have the mirror at that point,
Okay.
and I don't have the hook shot. So
Okay, so that opens up Hera Tower, but nothing more than that,
Yeah.
really. Did you check Shovel Spot yet?
I have not checked Shovel Spot. Also, there's my flippers.
So those flippers
That's
are out of
very-
logic. So
That is very convenient, though,
So-
because Source is right at the
Yeah,
Catfish
I
and
can do
Zora area.
Waterfall.
yeah, but those
Oh my
are
gosh.
out of logic. So
Oh, right, I have to go down here.
did you do Sarasala in Eastern Palace?
I have done Sarasrala. I did not do Eastern Palace.
Okay.
They do not have the bow yet.
There's one other check I just realized I can do that's in logic. I'll do that after this. No, okay.
Brackard, did you check Shovel Spot
Alright,
yet?
swing and a miss there.
That's what I'm about to do.
Okay. Yeah, Shovel
I
Spot.
just realized. I'd found Source's shovel and then I found mine and I got that confused. So
Yeah, Shovel is an easy one to mistake because ordinarily in the vanilla game you would use the shovel to get the flute. As a result, you would never have both the shovel and the flute at the same time. So they actually share an inventory slot. In the randomizer, since it's possible to have shovel and flute at the same time, you would have to hit an additional button in order to switch from one to the other. But once you get the flute and once you have the flute active, then you'll be using the flute a lot because that's a way to fast travel, and it's easy to accidentally forget about the shovel in the meantime.
So I am out of checks at this point. I can't get up to Death Mountain because I don't have the mirror or the hook shot. I already did the left side check out of sequence. I don't have Moon Pearl, so I can't do Waterfall. I did Zora. I did Eastern Palace. So yeah, my there's.
So I guess am I doing hair next? Like, what's the most check that I can get for you here? I feel like it's probably Spectacle and Hera.
Yep.
But
So
I
I'll
could
do
be
this.
wrong about that.
Spectacle has 2, Hera has an additional 2. Definitely don't forget about the shovel spot.
Yeah.
You can try
Yeah,
doing...
and then I can dive Eastern.
Yep, you can dive
I
Eastern.
cannot get into Desert Palace yet.
Eastern, you'll be able to get at least 2, maybe all 3.
There's a Moon Pearl and Spectacle Rock which is yours.
Don't forget to check
Do you have Dark
inside
World
Spectacle
access?
Rock though as well.
Yeah,
I do have Dark World access.
Okay, so that'll open up a bunch for you.
Yeah, I'll finish doing this real fast since I'm here.
So the Moon Pearl as an item basically allows you to be sort of fully capable in the Dark World. Otherwise, you turn into a bunny or whatever your sprite has defined.
You'll get to see what my
Oh,
sprite
wow.
does a little later.
There's a glove in the Spectral Rock cave too. Man, I wish I'd actually just come up here instead of getting hit by that rock and dying.
So this dark room that I'm doing right now used to scare me a lot, and frankly, it still scares me. Because it's a sequence of 3 dark rooms.
This is probably my glove too. Nope, it's yours.
Oh, great.
Ooh, just like that, Brackar has Dark World access via Titan's Mitts.
Yes, thank you.
Well,
That
do
actually
you-
is exactly what I needed.
Yeah. Vol, do you want to explain bomb jumping?
Sure.
Let me see if I can actually get this. I may or may not be able to. We'll see.
Okay, so bomb jumps
Gosh.
are ways that you can use to cross gaps that you're not supposed to be able to cross. This gap in particular is challenging because it is 3 spaces wide, whereas most of the gaps that you'll use are only 2.
No, I fell.
The reason why you do it is to essentially save time in order to get back up to the top of the mountain, so source missing that isn't a big deal, you just have to climb a little bit more.
Yeah.
There are a couple of bomb jumps in other places that are a lot of fun to get to pull off. One of which will
Most
be
of the bomb
in...
jumps are more or less pixel perfect as well.
Yeah. Yeah. One of which is in Hera. There's a very important one in Ice Palace. Those are the most important, I think. There are actually several in Ice Palace. There are several in Pod, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's the one in the one to get in Death Mountain as well, to get back over the can't remember if it's Light World or Dark World. Like Hookshot Cave. That's Light World, right?
Sorry,
Yeah,
which one?
on the Light World, Light World Death Mountain side to get back to Spiral.
Oh yeah, that is Paradox
Instead of
Cave.
having to go all the way down. Yep.
Yep. That's a nice one too. Also prevents you from having to climb more of the mountain.
Oh no, small key.
And you don't have hookshot. So there's a glitch in Tower of Hera that lets you basically get to the top of the tower as fast as possible. But that requires having the hookshot already, and Source does not have the hookshot, unfortunately.
Wait. Before I go in here.
So
I
Hera
also don't have
Basement it
boots.
is.
I don't know how to do it without boots. Oh.
Okay.
Fortunately, I have cape for basement. You want to explain the cape glitch? Or well, I don't even know if if it counts as a glitch, but
Are you gonna use the cape glitch?
yeah, the Manaless cape.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the magic cape is an item that makes you both invisible and invincible as long as you are holding it. Ordinarily, this would drain your magic power at a very rapid rate. However, if you don't hold any directional button, but grab onto a wall, for whatever reason, the game doesn't drain your magic. And as such, these floor tiles, which would normally deal 1 heart of damage, are just bouncing off the wall.
Yeah, that room is like there are strategies to complete it without having to use that cape, but it's just much more convenient to just sit there and chill for a minute.
That's one as well that people find very challenging in the vanilla game, but as you start to get used to speedrunning and get used to the randomizer, you realize that it's actually free. Okay, so what Brackar did there was dive into Thieves Town in order to collect 4 items. The first 4 items are relatively low time investment to capture. Brackar can actually complete Thieves Town right now. However, there is 1 chest in the dungeon that you would need the hammer to get. So by diving the first 4 and leaving, that's essentially a way of mitigating the risk of there being an item in that big chest while still allowing you to get some potential benefit out of the dungeon.
Yeah, I also only found 1 item in the first 4 chests, so it's much more likely that the item in that dungeon is locked in the big key chest. Additionally, it's a pendant dungeon, so I'm opting to avoid it for now.
Yep. Those are all very fair calls. Thieves Town has 4 items normally. The first 4 are The first 4 checks are relatively easy to do, but the rest of them are basically require a lot of going through the entire dungeon. Alright, so Brackar is about to do Digging Game. In the randomizer, it shows up in 1... Wow, that's ridiculous.
Okay.
I was about to say, in randomizer,
Sure,
it can show up between dig 1 and dig 30. In this case, it was dig number 1, the very fastest digging game possible.
I've actually never had a 1 dig game. I've had a couple of 2 digs, but never a 1.
I can't recall having a 1 either.
That's my first one. That's 100% my first one. Seed's trying to be nice for the technical issues we had. Oh, talk to you.
Yeah. Oh. my arch nemesis.
Oh, great.
Ooh, flute. So flute is
No mirror, but
Flute is a nice item to find because it calls forth a duck that lets you go through the light world and fast travel. In addition, this is required in order to enter Misery Mire, because in order to get to Misery Mire, you have to use a particular dark world portal that is on a ledge that can only be accessed via the flute. Going into Misery Mire also requires having the Titan's Mitts, and checking the chests that are in the area also requires the Titan's Mitts. So because Bracker already has that, that's a relatively good thing to do early. And there are the flippers, a blue mail, lamp,
wow,
and
okay, sure.
lamp and a bottle. So this cave in the regular game is pretty unremarkable. It just contains a bunch of rupees, really. However, in the randomizer, since there are 5 items that are extremely free and easy to get, we call it Hype Cave, because we're always hoping and hyped that something good will be there, and in this case it actually is, but usually Hype Cave is just a cave of disappointments.
A cave of disappointment and woe.
False hype. Alright, so I'm actually running a little short on checks myself now, I think.
Okay.
I have a couple left. I still shovel spot them and start diving eastern here.
Yep, you can see Pod first as well, see if that is bow locked.
I cannot. Oh yeah, I can. I have to go through Aghanim, but I can.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Source, which one are you opting for?
I'm in eastern right now.
Oh, okay. I was looking at Brackart's side.
You're good. Also, can we take a minute to talk about these sprites?
Yeah! So, these are custom sprites of Brackar and Source's Sonas. These were done by Jirla. I will post Jirla's name in the chat.
Who is waving off camera, I'm sure. Hello.
Yeah, Jirla's actually helping out by assisting with the tracking today, as well as Kalia Rube.
Oh, there you go, Source.
Huh? Ooh, that probably means I stopped diving. Yeah, I'll go as far as I can, I guess.
I mean,
Okay, so that means that I now have Dark World access from a number of places that I did not before, so that's convenient.
If you want to get into this game, the website to get into it is alttpr.com, and it has a lot of resources to get you started, a lot of resources that help new players out, and provide information about where locations are, and what some of the most common early routing mistakes are. There's also an extremely active community, and extremely popular community that is very friendly and willing to help out new players. It's a super fun community to be a part of. Another thing that you can do when you generate a game is set a custom sprite. There are a lot of custom sprites that are available, ranging from everything from like furry Fox Link to a bunch of dragons to a bunch of memes like a Mountain Dew Pepsi can, or just there's one that's just like a shadow. There are characters from other games such as Celeste. There's Homer Simpson, Ned Flanders.
I really like beating the game as a Kuko, one of the chickens from Link to the Past.
The Cuckoo gets his revenge at last. Go ahead.
Also, if you have you know, like there are artists out there that can commission sprite sheets like this as well. So if you get really into it, you can just get your own special sprite sheet and have your character in the game as you play, which is super awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I'm very glad
Ooh.
I dove this because my Titan's mitts were in the big key chest in Eastern.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Well, I
Okay,
found
so
Hookshot in Waterfall
that
Cave,
means-
so
Yeah. So we've kind of broken the game wide open. Like we have access to most of the map now. And it's just a matter of just finding all the pieces. that we need
I
to
really
find.
still need to find Mirror. That's one of the main things that is blocking me.
Dang it! You just made me miss my duck. I did not know that was possible. Oh, you missed
And
it!
again! And again!
Stop! I beg you,
You're taking the long way around.
please.
Yeah,
I want to
there's
go home.
Hammer. I am also missing. I need hammer.
Oh, you're missing hammer as well. Okay. All right, well, I get to do Hype Cave now.
Yeah. Brakar is on the east side of Death Mountain, which is absolutely a treasure trove of items, and with the hookshot, can go to the Dark World, east side Death Mountain as well, which has even more. Regular east side Death Mountain has 8, plus you get to see what is on the floating island, and then when you get into the Dark World, there are 6, and
Well,
you
there's
can
that.
actually get all 6 with
Oh,
the cave. And Source just found Brakar's hammer,
thank
so
you.
now the game is even more wide open.
yeah. So I'll be able to do Hera now that I'm up here, which I wasn't expecting to be able to. I should actually. I don't have the mirror. I should probably do that first since I'm here. Let's go do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Other potential options. Pendant Thief's Town is now completable for what it's worth. Palace of Darkness, which is a crystal and also pretty dense on items, having 5.
Yeah.
That is also completable, and in logic because you also have the lamp now. And
Oh,
Source
wow.
just found the hookshot.
Stump Kid had my hook shot.
Yeah.
Big game while I'm here, or big spot.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm glad you remembered that, because I had actually forgotten about it. That's, like I said, that's one of them. If it's not constantly at the forefront of your mind, it's just like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
It's very easy to forget about. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm
Source
gonna
finding
get
that
to-
hookshot
I'm
lets you
gonna-
complete Swamp Palace, which is kind of in the neighborhood. What are you gonna do, Brakar?
I am gonna likely do Herapot.
Ooh.
All
This is a
right.
fun one. Oh no. Guess what I found?
Oh, you are now.
It's-
Wait, is it mine?
No, it's mine.
Source is literate.
Okay.
I am literate. I found the book. The book is a sort of an annoying find because there are several one-off, very out-of-the-way checks that the book unlocks that now could have important items in it for me.
All
Right.
right. Do you want to explain what I'm about to do, Volk?
Okay, so Brakar is using a glitch called Herapot. This is basically a double pixel perfect glitch where you set a bomb and then line yourself off a specific spot in order to clip yourself into a pot, which lets you go up through the dungeon as fast as possible.
Oh, I think
yeah.
I did the mini Moldorm thing.
I was
Hold
about
on.
to ask that because I thought that your positioning looked pretty good there.
Let me
This is a
reset
thing
the
that
room.
we learned like last week about. There is a situation that you can get in if you kill the mini Moldorm in that dungeon and pick up the item that it drops while that item is in the air. This double pixel perfect glitch stops working.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about learning this specifically is you're always learning something new.
There are lots of little tiny details all over the place. Which actually makes it a very fun game to run because you can kind of constantly. The game is sort of so well understood, and there are so many people that have been playing it for so long that there's lots and lots of very, developed thinking on how to do stuff.
Very nice job, Brakar.
Thank you. So that let me skip entirely the room in the basement, that tile room that Source was showing off earlier. Why did I do that? Oh well, I'll just do another glitch. That's fine.
Yep, that's fine.
Keep the glitches rolling.
All right, so Brakar's about to do a bomb jump in order to get to the big chest, which is actually faster than like opening up the portal there anyway.
Oh, I don't have the big key.
Oh, okay. Well, the big key's in the
Oh, no.
basement. I believe you found one item so far?
No, I found none,
Oh, that's
which is bad.
yeah, that's unfortunate then. Okay, so in that case,
This is
one of
this
the
is
items.
case where the Harapot. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, in that case, one of the items is going to be. There are 2 items in the dungeon total, 2 random items in the dungeon total, plus the dungeon items. One of the random items is going to be on this boss, Moldorm, and then the basement has a big key, and the remaining random item is in the big chest.
And the reason that we know that, by the way, is because the game is built such that everything is completable without glitches. It's sort of by process of elimination. If the big key wasn't in that first room, it had. In other words, if the first room is a small key, and the big key has to either be in the chest in the main room or in the basement. It cannot be anywhere else, or else if you didn't know how to do Harapot, the game would be uncompletable.
Exactly.
I'm gonna strand that chest in Hera. That's too long of a check for me to feel good about that.
Ooh.
Because I have to do basement. I mean, I have to do basement, get the big key, and then come back?
So this is one of those things that might change depending on whether you're doing like an actual race against someone or playing in like a marathon situation like this. In a race, it's like the odds that there is a critical item in there is somewhat small, not 0, but small. And so if you skip it, you may be able to save some seconds and get ahead in the race. The marathon situation might still be the right play. I don't know, but it's if there is an important thing in there, it's pretty painful to have to come back all the way back.
That is Source's passive aggressive way of telling me go back there and find my fire rod.
You live
Hey.
your life, man. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
I'm gonna live my best life. Over
I
here.
did
My best
exactly
life's in
what
Dark Death
I did
Mountain.
exactly
Okay.
what Brackar did in my most recent competitive race, and it worked out fine. But it made me nervous.
See, we're 100% playing exactly the same seed of that, so it will definitely work out fine.
Yeah. And this is the other thing about sort of learning how to optimize this game is that you basically just have to make the highest percentage plays. You know, it's like you can't. It's not like a normal speedrun where you can just get your execution down to a perfection point. You have to guess and strategize and adapt on the fly, which is one of the reasons that I've kept playing this, even though I've sort of bounced off other speed games in the past.
Yeah, it's one thing that I like about randomizers in general. You're always getting a new set of circumstances
my
to
mirror.
adapt to, and every game is dramatically different from the previous game that you've experienced. And like
Alright, so with
we're
mirror-
like barely scratching the surface on all the custom options that you can set on the randomizer page as well. But yes, Brackar found the mirror.
I am not in go mode because I need fire rod and ice rod. Okay.
You also need Kane.
I also need Kane. So still 3 items left, but I'm getting towards the end of what I need.
I actually
to be able
never
to
did.
stop checking checks.
I never did my map check for Dark World. Alright, let's see what I got here. Oh, okay, I'm glad I stopped. That was
That's
okay.
handy.
So my pendants are in Thieves Town, Misery Mire, and Ice Palace, with Ice Palace being the green pendant.
Yep.
And
And
Pod is my
Pod
is
is a
my
red crystal.
Yeah.
Which is not quite completable. Source needs a bow.
Okay, so I think I'm actually supposed to do Swamp Palace next.
Yeah, I think that's a good play. Swamp Palace is one of the most item-dense dungeons in the game. It has 6 random items. Can kind of be a pain to complete because it's a bit long and somewhat linear, but in this situation, I think it's worth it.
I also don't have Kena Samaria, unfortunately. I'll try to get Bomb Diver down just to show it off on stream, but we'll see. We'll see if that happens.
Yep, don't forget that you can talk to the witch in order to get a full heal.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, well.
You're just giving the witch additional business instead. That's fine. Gotta support your
I mean,
gotta support your
once-
local
once
light world
you-
economy.
Once you've bought the King's Roar item, rupees are sort of never a problem again. Like, you don't really ever run out of money in this game because there are the 300 rupee checks, which are sort of very out of the way in the base game, are sort of scattered around, and you're opening so many checks that you're likely to hit several 300 rupee spots. in any given playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid monkey.
Okay, so Brekar is doing Palace of Darkness. Palace of Darkness is an interesting dungeon. It has 5 random items and 6 keys in addition to the big key and the map and compass. So there are a lot of checks in this dungeon, and the way that you route it can differ dramatically depending on what items you have at the given time. So in this case, since a small key was found in that left chest, we know that it is not bow locked. If there was anything but a small key in that chest, then you would need a bow in order to get all of the remaining items in logic.
You want to talk about mirror block real quick on my side?
Oh, sure. So, Source just
Watch
execute
this.
it. So Source just glitched a block out of existence. Basically, when you use the mirror while pushing an object, then... Well, while you're pushing an object in general, the object ceases to be solid, so you can do stuff like hookshot through that or shoot a fire rod through it. If you do the mirror through it, however, the game doesn't really understand what's supposed to happen with the block, so it just gets rid of it and glitches it out of existence.
And one of my weak spots in Randomizer is just being on Greymail for a long time. Like I'm just not good at avoiding taking damage, and particularly Dark World dungeons the enemies tend to do a lot of damage. And so if you are not very good at dodging things, you take damage very, very quickly. It very quickly adds up.
Mm-hmm.
All the enemies just want to hug you. A lot.
I also
Very
only have
tightly.
7. I also only have 7 hearts, even still, which is pretty low for this point in a game now.
What is working out in your favor, though, is having the Tempered Sword. So if there are enemies in your
Yes.
way, then most of them will just vanish in a single hit. And Brekar, I believe, also has the Tempered Sword, so damage output is
don't
not
know.
a problem here.
Yeah. That's the other situation which runs can be very difficult is if you have, like, for example, the fighter sword, which is the very first sword upgrade. If you have it for a long period of time, you just don't do any damage.
Mm-hmm. And you
Do
actually
you want to talk about
cannot...
how progressive items work?
Sure. So progressive items versus non-progressive items. Progressive items are necessary in order to work through the actual goal of getting up to Ganon's Tower. So in most games, most of the major items that you find will be progression, such as, like, the gloves are always a progressive item, the hammer is always a progressive item because you always need those. However, there are some seeds in which you don't necessarily need particular items to find. So, for example, the ice rod is only used to beat the boss on Turtle Rock, and that's it. So, if you don't need to beat the boss in Turtle Rock, then you don't actually need the ice rod. In this case, that's irrelevant because Turtle Rock is a crystal for both of them, but yeah, that's...
Yeah, and so that's what Brekar was talking about when he was saying go. You know, this idea of go mode. Go mode basically means I have all of the progression items I need to beat the game, and so I can just focus on completing dungeons as fast as possible and stop opening more chests because I don't need how many bombs do I have? I don't need any more items. It's
Yeah,
also
and so
interesting
that's
because
made-
there's no. You go ahead.
So it's also made a little bit more complicated in this multi-world format that we have, because, like, I might find all the items I need to progress in my game, but we're cooperatively playing this, right? So the items that Source needs may still be in my game. So we're not
Right.
actually in go mode until we're both in go mode.
All right, I'm gonna try to do bomb diver down here. So basically, the way that this works is I'm gonna have to line. Oops, no, fire snake, go away.
Get away, Fire Snake.
I'm gonna have to line up on a very specific pixel here.
Careful.
Wait for you to get an item.
Don't do
Like
it. You're getting an item.
Okay.
I will.
All right.
I will not stop
all right.
you.
So basically, I'm gonna put a bomb down and try to use it to clip into the wall. I think I got it. I almost.
You were a
almost got it.
little short there.
Yeah, I was a little short. I'll try this a couple more times, see if we can get it. Because the end result is fairly spectacular.
If not, I'll have a chance at it when I go through that dungeon next.
All right.
This looks good.
Oh,
Ooh.
no, not quite. Fire snake. It's in the way. All right, one more try. Oh, 2 more tries.
All right, Brackar is going on to the boss, so you've got time.
Man. This requires a very precise sequence of inputs here. Let me try one more time.
Close.
Oh, man,
Close.
I'm right on the edge of getting it each time. All right.
Yeah.
I want to save 1 bomb, so I'm gonna try
One
this
more-
one
one
more
more
time.
go.
If
You
I
got
don't get
this.
it, I don't get it.
Yeah, this is a difficult one to pull off.
Oh no!
That's
I
unfortunate.
saw that.
Yeah. It's a difficult trick to pull
Yeah,
off
my
with just
swimming
bombs
is glitched
because
now.
it requires both a precision component as well as a timing component. So it's not the end of the world not being able to do it. It just means that you won't be able to use the fastest technique to get through that room. There's
Although-
another setup. There's another setup with the
Oh no!
red
I forgot the
cane,
fishes do 1,000,000 damage.
which is a
Source,
lot
I-
easier to pull off.
That is probably for
Yeah.
the best since you flooded the key.
I did.
You would
flip
need to
the key,
leave.
actually.
You would need to
Yeah.
leave the dungeon and come back anyway.
Yep. Thank you for reminding me,
bomb-
because I would have totally forgotten.
Bomb Diver Down is a really cool trick, but the setup for it is irrevocable. So once you do the setup, if you fail the trick, you actually have to leave the dungeon and come back.
Yeah, you have to do what I'm doing now, which you have to you have to come out and pull this lever again to drain the water from the temple.
Yeah, it is a painful walk of shame.
Yeah. So the actual mechanics of that is you have to place the bomb in a pixel perfect position, jump into the water. While you're in the air, you have a 20-frame window to hold both down and right at the same time. That will cause you to jump out of the water and give you another 20-frame window to hold only right. And then you have to hold it. You have to tap left for 1 frame, and then you can you jump up. And the end result, what it looks like, is that you're almost clipped into the water, so you're on the lower level of the dungeon like you would normally be if you were walking on the ground, but you're in the water, so you can sort of interact with things in a very strange way.
It looks like you're wearing the iron boots from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, exactly.
And nice Helmasaur kill, Brackar. That's another fight that is made significantly easier with the silver arrows.
Oh no. Okay.
I should have just mirrored. Oh well,
No.
that's fine. We will.
Don't forget the key.
I think I left an item behind in pod. Okay, I'll make a mental note of that. Because I
Well-
think the big key chest actually might still have an item in it.
Sorry, I wasn't paying
Oh
attention.
no, it's fine, it's fine. It's not the worst. I just need to make a mental note of 1 item in Hera and maybe 1 item in pod.
Okay.
It's fine. There's still a whole bunch of rich checkpoints ahead of me, so
Okay, so Brackar is doing Swamp Palace now. And Source is already there. It's often fun, like, both in Multiworld as well as in Randomizer races, where just a sequence of routing that people take results in being in the same dungeon at the same time.
So I also do not have the cane, so unless I happen to find it, I will also be struggling with the bomb jump diver down. So
Are you
we'll
gonna
see
go
how
for
that
it?
goes. Source and I, yeah, of course I'm gonna go for it.
All right.
Source and I just learned this trick this week, so
You gotta risk it for
Yeah.
the biscuit. Yeah.
yeah, gotta put on a show.